it sounds like at the moment. Cool. Cool. Okay. Still pressing any buttons?
I don't think so. I think we're going. This is a sloppy start, but one day I'll cut all of these down. They'll be edited into perfection. But that's part of the charm of a live stream too,
That's true.
And this is a live stream, and I'm getting the Instagram just right. I am Sam Irvin, and this is 8 Note, the formerly known as the Irvin Music Studio Wednesday night 8 to 10 p.m. live stream. It's August 24th. Irvin Music Studio has sort of a threefold program where I teach music lessons.
I don't think so.
I perform at gigs, and I do sound production work. And so each of my guests has some role in one of those worlds. This particular guest has experience in all three. And so we'll see what we can learn from him. This is Andrew Thelston. Come on down.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on,
Hey,
man.
thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
We need a house band.
Yeah, dude. I
We
just
play
did
people
that
on.
at the old Asheville Comedy Fest. We were the house band. I got to
that's
live
awesome.
out my dreams of being Paul Schaefer or the Roots. So
Had you guys prepared various stabs?
Oh,
like,
yeah. We
moments?
went through, we probably learned like 50 little 15-second clips, and then we had a bunch of original stuff that we threw in there too, and it was the bad part was that the comedians were like so nervous because we were like Diana Wortham Theater, so like it was packed, so they were all like super nervous. And so what we thought was going to be about 10 seconds of music turned out to be like 3 seconds. So we'd be doing like So Fresh and So Clean by Outkast, and doop 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 doop, and by the time they're like doop doop doop, and they're like up there, so you can't even tell what we're playing.
Oh, so they like really
they're just like
walked up there,
yeah,
like,
so
got
super
right to
nervous, but
rather than like
yeah,
point at the crowd.
yeah,
and, like,
exactly, like
goofing
taking their time. It was they
Yeah.
just ran for the microphone. But
That is a fun gig. You're doing all of the kinds of gigs.
I'm
right?
trying, yeah.
I saw your like gigs in August post.
Pretty weird, pretty
was
out
long.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of different things for sure.
We go way back, all the way to high school.
Yeah. We
Back
grew up in
B-Town.
Brevard, man.
Yeah.
B-Town.
Brevadiers over here.
Yeah, whatever they call it.
I think we are both very thankful that we escaped.
Yes.
To the big city, to the bright
to
lights.
Buncombe
of
County.
yeah.
One county over. 2 counties over.
Do you go back to Brevard a lot?
Yeah. I mean, I play out there. 185 King Street in Brevard is doing really good things for the music scene in Western North Carolina, and I go out there and play out there as many times as I can. Like, it's a really good. The new owners are fantastic. So I play out there. Actually, I'm playing out there this Saturday, and I think about it. I'm doing a solo gig at Wine Down on Main this Saturday. But yeah, Wine Down and 185 King Street are basically the 2 places that I play out there. But yeah, every couple months make it out there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, 185 King Street is like a happening spot.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and they're pretty open to like trying things out. And we've been doing a couple different tribute sets over the last like 2 years, and like they're really open to like, yeah, let's try it. Let's see how many folks want to come out and check it out and all that stuff. So
yeah, I'd love. Let's see if we can give a taxonomy of your projects.
yeah.
But let's hold off on that. I'm
Sure.
trying to think about how to organize this. Step 1, I think it's sort of a routine and part of the tradition now.
Yeah.
To check the levels and see if we're actually coming through.
Yes.
On
There we go.
YouTube. It's sort of a routine.
Boom.
Oh, we sound crystal clear.
Check the 2 professional sound men, hard at work.
Did
right
it?
now.
Oh yeah. Whew. All right, so we'll just have to remember to get everything else set back up
There
for
we
the
go.
jam, which is forthcoming.
Yeah.
If you're just tuning in, if you made it through the few minutes of dead air, I really want to. The next investment for the live stream is probably to get like an animation.
That'd be cool.
Like like a 30-second or a minute long thing of like so people know something is about
Something
to
is
happen.
going to happen.
Yeah. So yeah, we know each other from Brevard.
Yep.
And now we're in Nashville. I think I'd summed that up
Yeah.
already.
Yeah,
You mentioned
there you go.
you mentioned 2 cover bands. I know the Zeppelin one.
Yeah, and so yeah, I've been doing like, and it's not even really like cover band stuff. It's like kind of like loose tribute stuff. Like one of my big like guitar heroes from Asheville is Warren Haynes, Government Mule, great band. And over the years, they've done Pink Floyd tribute sets, Rolling Stones tribute sets, the band, Neil Young, all that kind of stuff. And so I was like, a couple of years ago, I was like, how can I get more people to know who the hell I am? Other than doing amazing programs like the one you're watching right now.
Hey, thanks for coming
But
on.
that's why I'm here. I've been watching you for a while. So, but yeah, so like I kind of take a lot of cues from him, being guitar-driven music. And I was like, all right, so a couple of years ago, I was like, a venue approached me and they're like, do you guys do any like tribute sets? I was like, I said 3. Led Zeppelin, Neil Young, and Prince. And I had never done any of them. But I love Prince, Neil Young, and Led Zeppelin. So I was like, what's one that I could do to kind of showcase my voice and my guitar playing? And I was like, Led Zeppelin. So I'm doing both the Page and Plant stuff. But the way that I structure these shows, too, it's kind of different. Right up front, the first set is all original music. So people are subjected to what I do and what I write, and they get it. And like, it's great because it's a great feeling because every single show, people are like, I love your music. Your music's great. I'm going to find you. And that's the whole point of it, is to basically trick people into like coming out to my shows and for them to be like, oh, he writes music too? Great. And it's, it's kind of like we're our own opener for this thing. And so, yeah, we've been doing like a Led Zeppelin thing for 2 years. And then we've been recently, in the last couple months, doing a Fleetwood Mac one as well, which is a whole different thing. We bring in my friend Carrie Morrison to play keys and sing a lot of the vocal parts and stuff. And that's been really cool because I forgot how much I liked Fleetwood Mac.
Mm-hmm.
And like, Lindsey Buckingham is a sick guitar player, like amazing. So that's been a lot of fun to do that. But again, same thing. And it's cool because Carrie writes a lot of music. My bass player, Roddy, writes a lot of music. And then I write a lot of music. So when we're all playing together, we kind of mix it up, play a lot of Carrie songs, play my songs, play Roddy's songs, and kind of develop that first set into look at the people that are about to play this music that you've grown up with or that you've listened to. And yeah, it's been pretty fun. It's a lot of work, but it's been pretty fun. So,
yeah.
yeah.
That's pretty brilliant. To get your music out in front of people.
Yeah.
And to, I don't know, just to be able to choose the covers that you're doing.
That is also a huge part of it because I will get a lot of the, are you playing Stairway to Heaven? And I'm like, I don't have a double neck. That's always I tell people. I'm just like, I don't have a double neck. I can't do that, which is ludicrous because I could play it, but I'm just not going to.
And I guess you get to continually mix it up.
Exactly.
And learn new Zeppelin tunes.
And that's what we've done
like
too.
that.
And it's kind of like an evolving thing, you know, and it'll be, you know, if we have Roddy Wilder playing bass with us, or if we have Walker Aston playing bass with us, like it kind of depends. We might be doing different things on those. And yeah, it's always kind of evolving, and you know, always kind of whoever I'm playing with, I try to showcase them. So like we play Moby Dick, and my drummer Jeff gets the full Moby Dick drum solo, and if he's in like a good mood, he's playing with his hands and stuff and doing the whole thing. So you know, it's a lot of fun, and it really has been like super rewarding to be like, and like people are like, so many people, they're like, oh man, you take me back to my youth, or like, oh man, I forgot about that song. I forgot they wrote that, and even to the point with the Zeppelin one where like in the middle of it, we'll do like a couple acoustic numbers, and then kind of, you know, build it back up into the full band stuff. So it's been fun.
That's nice. Yeah. Zeppelin is amazing. But like Zeppelin and Beatles and Floyd and
Yeah.
you know, all those older bands, Sabbath.
Sabbath.
I just listened to them so much in my
Oh,
youth,
yeah.
and I'm sure I would feel like that at your
Yeah.
show. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I need to put Zeppelin on more playlists.
Exactly. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun doing it for sure.
That's cool. Well, those are the exact sort of brilliant tricks that I'm gonna try and milk out of you at this live
There you go,
stream.
man.
I know like a few of my students watch these live streams.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's a pretty casual thing. The real excuse, the premise of the live stream is just to carve out that time in my life to catch up with people and to get to know people a little better, to wrap my mind around how other people are making a career out of music.
Yeah.
You know?
Got to do everything.
Yeah.
Like you got to do a little bit of everything, and that's my number one tip to anybody trying to be a musician is, you know, learn how to run sound, learn how to record, learn how to video edit, learn how to do something like this, learn how to, along with performing and teaching and, you know, whatever you need.
Yeah.
You know?
Part of it for me is learning how to organize time in ways that are fulfilling.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like learning
Time
covers of the stuff
management
that you want.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Making time to jam with random people.
Yep.
You know, in my like secure, controlled environment.
Did you do a lot of like whenever you were at UNCA, did you do a lot of like jamming with random people all the time?
You know, not as much as I would have liked. I
Man,
was sort of
that's-
out and about doing
Yeah.
just experiencing.
That's
you know,
all
the
I
world.
did at Western, like in the music program, like just jamming nonstop. And that's probably where I like got the whole like ability to book gigs, which is a different thing than playing the gig.
Yeah, it's hugely different.
Yeah, it's a very different thing, and I kind of learned that technique in college of how to present someone. Make sure your bass player's not too drunk and they can show up to the gig. Make sure your drummer's on time. Make sure your drummer goes to the right location instead of the one in Franklin. Make sure they're at the one in Silva, you know, this and that. And, you know, managing people and managing time, and then just, again, content. That's what you need, you know, and it's a never-ending thing, but
you never know who's gonna see it on that particular day. And
Yeah.
more people see it, it's exponential when you're
Yeah.
pushing it out every single day. Yeah.
Totally.
And that you got somebody say, oh, this is number 27 of the live stream. Oh, you've done 25 of these. Okay. Yes. I don't even need to look and see if they all have dead air at the beginning of them.
There you go.
So when I was in college, I still was taking lessons with Yaxley
Yeah.
through
Nice.
college, and you and last week's guest Dan Keller also
Dan.
took lessons with Mark Yaxley.
Nice.
So he was really encouraging me to be able to do it alone.
Yeah.
Still, the solo guitar thing.
And solo gigs in general, man, I do a lot of those by myself, singing and acoustic guitar, and it's a whole different thing, man. I was scared to death of that for a long time, and there was a restaurant in Hendersonville, me and Mr. Mustard's. They recently closed down. The owners retired, but it was a Beatles themed restaurant, and I'm the biggest Beatles fan. And my friend sent me a message, and she said, "Hey, there's this restaurant in Hendersonville. I don't know if you've ever been out there, but they need a musician to play Beatles stuff." And I was like, "Okay." And they're like, "I think they're just looking for like solo acoustic." And I was like, "All right, cool." So I go out there, and I was out there for like a year and a half, 3 times a week, just playing and singing all these songs that I loved from like my youth.
Whoa, that's awesome.
And so like that developed my skill of not being so scared to death to be on stage by myself, which is a weird thing. It's super weird.
There's nobody to hide behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You screw up, it's on you. You
Yeah.
better just keep going. So you know,
vulnerable.
Yeah. It's
So
wild.
exposed.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah.
So let's run it down. Are you
Sure.
still doing solo gigs?
I am, yeah. I've got one this Saturday, but I just like playing in a band more generally. But it's freeing to kind of do whatever I want to do. Like if I want to, mix up this song of mine and go into another song and change it up, and take an extended guitar solo and all that kind of stuff. It's always, that part of it is cool. I don't have to communicate to anybody, but then it's like, it's all on me.
Yeah.
So like 100%, it is me strumming, finger picking, soloing, singing, all that stuff. So
I know a bass and a drummer. I mean,
it helps.
yeah, it's
yeah, they
it's hard. You
definitely
can't get a
help.
crowd dancing
Yeah.
like without a drum set.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get them dancing for sure.
Yeah.
without it, but
So you teach lessons. You're
Yep.
gigging.
Yep.
But you're in music full time. Are you doing any like paid sound work? Are you getting record?
Well, for years, my friend Daniel and we've been recording under the name Gingerbird Studios, and I've kind of had a record label called Clever Dog Records, and I put all of my stuff out on that record label, and then Roddy Wilder, my bass player, he put his EP out on that album, or not that record label. Carrie Morrison, she's put her stuff out on that record label. I'm working with Kate Bryant, who we all know.
A friend of the live
Yeah,
stream.
yeah. And Christina Chandler's doing some work, and Fancy and the Gentlemen are going to come in. And, now that I have like a similar setup to what you've got going on here, I can kind of, start to do a little bit more. And Daniel's still helping out and doing the mixing and mastering and all that good stuff. So it definitely helps.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So yes. Recording, yes. Live
like
sound,
more
not
and
so
more.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, who wants to do live sound?
There,
Stuck in the
man,
bar.
live sound it's wild what you can do
Stressful.
nowadays. It is stressful, but Daniel is great at that. He works over at Gray Eagle now,
Yeah,
doing a lot of that stuff. So
they are coming a long way with these little boxes, like wireless sort of setups.
for sure.
I wish I had the gearhead knowledge to
Oh yeah.
to whip out the brands and stuff. I know what I'm trying to talk about. That's what I did at UNCA. My job
Nice.
was running AV just for the lectures.
Nice.
And that moment where like the mic doesn't work or something is
It's on you.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It's,
I've got a friend who works in Charlotte doing that for like huge corporate events, and he's like, I make sure every single battery is charged before they go into any of those lavalier mics and all of that. And I was like, yeah, that's what I would be doing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and so I'm doing teaching, performing, solo gigs, band stuff. I've got a YouTube channel.
Solid. Okay.
Yeah, I do video work for myself mostly, but
What are you using to cut it together?
man, I just use iMovie, to be quite honest. Like the only other thing I was ever remotely into as much as music was film and video stuff when I was like little. like 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
9, 10 years old, I had like a camcorder. And in those days, kids, you had to have the camcorder go, if you wanted to edit anything to make it make sense and people wanted to watch it, you'd have to edit it from the camcorder into the VCR and do it like that. And then if you were real savvy like me, you'd have 2 VCRs to where you could like take the pre-edit that you already had and then edit even more onto it. And then you could take the RCA cables out of the back of the thing to get some music in there. Yeah, it's archaic by today's standards. And it's like anytime somebody complains about like video editing, I'm like, I want to sit them down with a camcorder and 2 VCRs and like left and right and say, figure it out.
Talk about it taking forever. It still does take
Yeah,
forever,
it does take, it takes a while, but I've also learned just with any like music video stuff that I'm doing, like get it, it's just like recording music, get it right. Get the performance right, get the lighting right. Make it look as good as you can before you have to edit it. So the entire goal is to just not have to mess with the lighting or all of that kind of stuff. Get as much of that down when you're filming it as you can. That way it's just that much easier when you are doing the post work. So
yeah. No post work on this. That's the whole point of doing the live stream.
Yeah, exactly.
We look beautiful, I think.
So good. So good.
It's the lights are, it's actually very dark in here, but you wouldn't know it.
That light is nice. I'm gonna have to buy one of those.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
No.
Yeah, the diffusers back there sort of help too.
Yeah.
I went and recorded video for somebody else for the first time recently as part of my
That's an experience
production
too.
work. Yeah. And it was for Paul Gaeta, who's also been on the live stream.
Yeah.
And he plays like indigenous flutes.
Sweet.
And various other like sound bath meditative sort of like a gong and other percussion rain stick. And so I just got to sit there for 3 hours and sort of like
that's awesome.
De-stress. Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier if you like the music that you're like filming.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of the danger of getting too far into the production stuff.
Yeah. I would imagine it could be kind of difficult if you were like, and that's why like, you know, anything with my label, it's like, do I want to work with this person? Do I want to work with this band? Well, yes, no. Like, you know.
You've got creative control.
Like,
so who have you said no to? No.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no.
Who do you want to be mean about right now on camera? Yeah. What do you think about, did you ever think about leaving Asheville?
I mean, a couple times. I mean, it's always sort of in the air. I've got a wife and kids, so, you know, there's a big opportunity that hit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's always on the table, for sure. But it would have to be, like, the opportunity.
Yeah.
For sure. But
I quite like it here. The scene is great.
It is very pretty around here. There's a lot of creative people. And, like, in the last 6 or 7 years, like, the brewery live music scene has exploded not only in Asheville, but, like, Western North Carolina in general and the Southeast in general because of beer. But, you know,
people
whatever.
love beer.
Yeah, people love beer. People want to hear music. So, you know, it's definitely created a lot of opportunities for music because 10 years ago, getting gigs was not that easy. And it's not easy now, but it's still like there are more places, more, you know, happening spots going back and forth and, you know, try them out, see what places you like to play and all that kind of stuff. And
what are some favorites of yours?
As far as venues,
mm-hmm.
I really like playing. We played this past Saturday in Franklin at the Lazy Hiker. That was a really cool gig. That was fun. That was packed. Really cool outdoor stage. I mentioned 185 King Street already. That's a really good spot. Asheville Music Hall is always fun. The One Stop is always fun.
Yeah. Classic.
There's a spot in Marion, North Carolina called the Spillway. That place is awesome. I love playing out there. And yeah, really cool spot. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of Capone's in Johnson City, Tennessee, which is like an hour from here. That's always a really good one. Yeah, just tons. Lots
Johnson
and lots
City's
of places.
great.
Yeah.
That drive is great.
Yeah, that drive is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that drive is fantastic, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so part of me the emerging format of the show, which
Yeah.
is going to sort of just happen over
Yeah.
time. I joke about having a season 2 and having everybody back on when there's like an actual ABC going on,
There
but
we go.
one guest mentioned that. Okay, so I changed the name to 8 note, like 8 p.m. note, like an eighth note.
Yeah.
You know,
I like that.
yeah,
Cute.
Thanks. It's coming together. It's better than the previous.
It's a good
title.
name. Names are that's hard.
It is
super
hard,
difficult.
but I feel good enough about it to where I should get the neon sign
that would be
in the
good.
background.
Yeah.
One guest said I should have 8 questions to ask, so I'm at 2 of them so far.
There you go.
So one is like, what is music, or, and the questions I guess are being formed as well. They're sort of
good.
amorphous, but having to do with identity in music. Do you think about that very often? Like identifying
sure.
as a musician, or
Yeah.
as, you play mostly rock music.
Yeah,
as a
and
rocker.
I went to school for jazz, so when I was at Western, I got a lot of jazz. And it was cool because like learning, I mean, whether you're learning classical or jazz, it's all music, and like anytime you get that time to just play the crap out of your instrument all the time. Like I think back on that all the time. Like in college, it was awesome because I could just play. And like I was playing gigs on the side, like that's how I was making money in college, and I was teaching a little bit in college too. And it was just nice to be like immersed in it, and like I've never heard Bitches Brew by Miles Davis. Let's go listen to it and let's go like experience a lot of music, and that was really really nice. And I've always kind of knew I was going to be a musician. I probably didn't know for sure, but I knew that I was going to be a musician.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to college for it,
Yeah, but even
more than
prior to that, even like when I was a little kid, like when I was real little, the Beatles anthology came out. It was like this huge documentary, and they had like recordings and all of that, CDs and stuff. CDs. There we go. That's how old I am.
I remember that anthology.
So yeah, when it came out, I was in elementary school, and I was like sitting there reading about, LSD and Sgt. Pepper and things like that, and I was like obsessed with the Beatles. I was so obsessed with the Beatles, and I kind of knew. I remember probably first or second grade, reading some book, some little kid elementary school book, the teacher's in there, and the main character was Rita, and I was like, oh, Rita, like the song, like, Rita Meter Maid. And the kid's like, what are you talking about? I remember being like offended. I was like, you never heard that? And then I like got kind of ticked, and the teacher was like, are you all right? Like, what's going on over here? And I was like, yeah, like, he doesn't know Rita Meter Maid, like, by the Beatles. She's like, I've never heard that song. And I was like, an adult doesn't know the Beatles? And I, like, at that point knew 2 things that I really just have obsessed so much about this band already at the age of 6, 7 years old, however old I was. And then also that, like, a lot of people aren't going to be as cool and be able to communicate to me on that kind of level of just nerd stuff, nerd music stuff. But yeah, just, I've always just had an appreciation for music. My earliest memories are listening to music with my mom.
Yeah. Yeah, the Beatles are, I mean, just the most gigantic band. I certainly have associations between like the Beatles and my mom, or like being in the back of the car, sort of like half asleep, and Strawberry Fields playing.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. That's the exact sort of stuff I'm getting at. So do you find music to be sort of isolating? I mean, there is that component of like,
I don't think music is isolating.
You have to be by yourself when you're practicing.
I mean, like the day to day. I mean, you I'm sure you know this. Like the day to day practicing, nobody wants to hear chromatic scales at 210 beats per minute, for 5 minutes, and then followed by all of your modes and all of this and that, and then you put on a jam track and you do this. Nobody really wants to be around for that, and that's, I kind of talk to a lot of people about it, like. As much as we're artists and we love what we're doing and we're creative spirits and all of that stuff,
Vessels.
these are muscles. And it's like you got to work these muscles out or they atrophy and you can't do what you did yesterday. So it's like a thing. Like in the last, like I started playing guitar when I was 12. I can't think. I think the longest time I've ever gone without playing a guitar 2 times. Whenever I was doing an internship in college in Vegas for a week, and I was like losing my mind. I brought a ukulele though, so I don't know. I guess that still sort of qualifies.
Yeah.
But and then on my honeymoon for a week in Jamaica. But I did pay a guy who was playing guitar. I paid him like $5 to let me play his guitar for like a couple minutes, so I could kind of get that out. But that was like 5 days. That was the longest I've ever gone not playing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Other guests have talked about the compulsory nature of like, because you not just like that you want to be good, you know, but that it's so like therapeutic because you do it all the time and your brain is so used to it that you.
My wife tells me all the time, she's like, yeah, if I'm ever in like an ill mood or something, I'm being a little snarky, which I'm known to do at times. She's like, go play music, go downstairs, go record something, get out of here. And it's like, I feel way better after I do it. And it's just, yeah, it's therapeutic. I mean, it's therapy. Like, you know, there's a lot of there's a lot of heavy things that happen in life. And music has always been there to help me, whether I'm writing it, listening to it, watching somebody else play it. Like, it always helps. I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
It's cathartic. It's very immediate. Like you can't escape music. Like if you're playing it or making it.
Yeah.
There's no like pretending with music. It's you either have played that note just then or not.
Yep. And it's fleeting too. Like it's like really like, you know, something you might obsess about. Like, and I've kind of over the years learned this too. Like as far as like preparation for gigs with a band, like, oh, we didn't hit that one thing, and like in the past, I would go to pieces over that one thing that literally nobody else would know.
Right.
But I'm such a dork that I'm like, I didn't hit a C instead of a C sharp. I'm a failure at life. I'm like, now it's just like, it happened. Move on. So
there's certainly a balance of that, like preparing for specific gigs versus doing those daily fundamentals.
Yep.
And if you just are living the life and you are authentically doing the work, then people recognize that, and I think they connect with that.
Yeah.
Even if you like flub the big moment.
Yeah, that's true.
But you still don't want to flub the big moment.
Never. Never.
And the stakes are both very high and very low, like at the same time, because music's like mankind's ultimate hobby.
Yep.
But it is also like what we identify with emotionally, like the most, except maybe behind smells. But I don't really know that much about like fragrance production or anything.
You know, it'd be interesting. We'll have to talk to some.
Wear that next hat to advertise our gigs.
Musician. Essence of Musician by
How many musicians are bringing their own scent to the gig instead of a smoke machine or a light show?
You want to buy some cologne?
Andrew Thelston.
The AT on the cologne bottle. That's good.
Definitely.
That.
Okay, so identity. One guest talked about how just genres are sort of breaking apart and becoming much more like identity itself as like a big concept is making less and less sense.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Dan, I said that to. Oh, sorry. Maybe I
go ahead.
respond before.
No, it's all good.
I told that to Dan last week, and he mentioned that he doesn't walk around like thinking of himself like, "Oh, I'm a musician. Like, aren't I cool as a musician?" He's like, "I just am paying the bills, doing my job as a musician." It's
a job, and it's like, you know, I like writing and recording a lot, and the pandemic helped me fall back in love with that, because prior to that I'd been working at a radio station till like 2018, and then I became full-time musician, and then 2020 hit, and I was like, oh god, what am I gonna do? But every day I would just get in there and play guitar, and I mean, obviously, what else are you gonna do when you're stuck at home? So it kind of got me back into really loving the process of recording. And I always loved it prior to that, but I was so obsessed with like gigging to make money that I forgot, like, didn't really forget, but I needed to be reminded about the lasting art that a recording is, and like the time and the effort and the love that it takes to make a really fine product that you can then send out to everybody. And it's never been easier to put your music worldwide. Like, it's a wild thing on Spotify. I'll see who's like listening to my stuff and where, and like, and I'm like, sweet, somebody in Germany listen to my song. Sweet, somebody in Australia is streaming. They really like this. So like, it's pretty cool.
I
Yeah.
haven't gotten to that step yet.
Yeah.
Did you use like DistroKid or CD Baby?
I use CD Baby, and I'll tell this story. So I was in a band called the American Gonzos a couple of years ago, 10 years ago, and we kind of called it quits 2016, 2017, and was getting ready for a singer-songwriter tour that I was doing through NC Songsmiths with Christina Chandler. And I was like, all right, I'm going to dig up some of these old Gonzo songs that I haven't played in a while. So I go to YouTube, I'm on there, and I'm like, all right, cool. American Gonzos, and the first thing pops up, it's like Lucifer soundtrack, Netflix, season 4, episode whatever. And I was like, there's like 10,000 plays on it. I was like, that's our song. That's weird. And I was like, okay. And then I'm like looking around, and I see like another video like that. And I was like, what is going on? So I like put the show on to that episode, and I'm watching it. 3 minutes in, there's this song that I wrote and recorded with this band. I was like, whoa. And then I was like, this is awesome. And then I like immediately thought, oh crap, I forgot to fill something out whenever I put my music up online, and I'm not going to get paid for it. So I was like super scared about that. And it had like 20,000 plays on Spotify at the time. Like since then, it's got like 140,000 or something, which is pretty cool.
Whoa, that's awesome.
And again, we hadn't done anything with that song, but whenever you fill out stuff for CD Baby, DistroKid, there's always like a little tab that says, do you want your music, considered for TV or movies? And I clicked yes. And so somebody, and I still for the life of me have no idea why or how they found that song. And it's like incidental music and the thing, but anyway, I had to like contact Netflix, and I like call them, and I was trying to be cool about it. And like, I do this all the time. Like, hey, Netflix. And I'm talking to some like
another one of my songs.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like talking to some like secretary, and I was like explaining it. And I was like, I need to get a hold of these producers. Is there like an email? Is there a phone number? And they were like, well, we can't do that, but you can send them a letter. I was like, a letter? I was like, what year is this? And I was like, all right, so give me the address. So I like write this letter, and I was like, thank you so much for putting this song in your show. This is huge for my career. Thank you so much. Also, how and am I getting paid? Also, thank you so much for all of this. This is great. And then literally a week goes by. I'm sitting at the table, noon, practicing, doing my usual warm-ups and stuff. And this producer calls me, and she was like, hey, this is Heather from Lucifer, and I just wanted to, let you know we got your thing. And then she like started talking to me about money, and I almost dropped the phone when she told me like about money. I was like, oh yeah, pretty standard to me. Was not standard to me, but it was cool. So
that's great. So you did get paid?
We did get paid.
Wow,
congrats. Which was very
that's
nice.
Huge.
So, yeah,
that's
it was
really
a nice little cherry on top of what was that band. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. CD Baby
did that for me. Yeah, man.
That's good to keep in mind for sure. Okay, so you talked about recording and taking the time to do that and getting back into it. My second question just revolves around problem solutions. What were some issues that you ran into, and then solutions that you found to solve the problem?
Pertaining for recording?
Or anything.
A lot of it...
I feel like most of my problems happen in the studio. I'm like,
studio stuff... Having a home studio is beneficial, and I've always had some kind of like again, going back to high school and stuff, like recording onto cassette tapes, like anytime somebody complains about recording onto Pro Tools or Logic or whatever, go record onto a cassette tape. And then also I have a reel-to-reel at the house let's talk about slicing tape and putting that together. And that is a whole different monster.
Wiggling it,
Yeah,
a little
wiggling
to
it.
flange
Yeah,
it,
it's
whatever.
it's intense. So, as far as like studios, just being prepared. I have learned. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing.
Be prepared.
Yeah, just be prepared
Were you
for
a Boy
anything.
Scout?
I was not, but I probably should have been. But have extra cables. Make sure if you're going to go into a studio, have a chart for somebody written or on your iPad or whatever. Have that together. Have a demo that's all ready to a click. Recording onto a click is a huge thing, or it's not, depending on what style of music you're doing. Just the preparation in day-to-day life, performance, recording, all of that stuff. And,
Practice. So
practice.
your muscles are working that day.
And that's preparation. That's preparation for whatever you're about to do. So, yeah, I'd say preparation, 100%. No.
Okay, yeah.
No.
The problem is not being prepared. The solution is prepare.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
And the not prepared, I guess, is just like experiential, I guess.
I was just about to say the same thing.
So it's like you get thrown into, oh man, that one time I forgot that cable that one time. And I really, that gig was super weird because I forgot that cable, or I forgot my amp, or my amp blew up, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
extra things. Just, yeah. So,
I got like 20 minutes down the road and thought that I had forgotten my leg stand for my classical guitar.
Yeah.
And is a gig far away, and I was like spending this 2-hour drive just like, man, I'm gonna have to find a bucket. I went back to, I've done this before. I didn't learn my lesson, I was beating myself up. But then I had gotten there and I had just automatically put it in the case.
That's good.
It was great.
And you get that's also muscle memory. It's just like loading the car and making sure you've got all the pieces and everything.
Yeah, it can be a little scary when it becomes so automatic.
Yep.
You're like, uh-oh, I wasn't as cognizant this time.
For sure.
Yeah. Let's see. We got like 10 minutes to kill. Do you have any final thoughts or anything?
Wow, we've been blasting through this. So we got through 2 of the 8 questions.
I told you that the questions are forthcoming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking we had like, oh man, Andrew's just talking too much.
Let's maybe wear the co-host hat or step into the co-host shoes. Is there like a question that you would ask on a live stream?
So I used to work at a radio station, and I used to do local radio, which is very important. Everybody out there, wherever you're watching this, listen to good local radio that plays good local music. There's a lot of stations in Asheville FM, 98.1 The River, WTZQ in Hendersonville, WSQL in Brevard. They do a lot. Those smaller radio stations, it's a big deal. But I used to ask this question all the time, and I'm interested to see, and I have to think about my answer while I ask you this, because it's,
okay.
What's the worst, you don't have to be specific, but what's the worst gig you've ever played?
Oh, man.
And why was it the worst gig?
Oh, man, a few come to mind, for
Yep.
sure.
Yeah.
Empty rooms are bad and disappointing, but they're not ultimately, heart-crushing after the first couple. The first empty room that I showed up to, where, I was a lot younger and I'd finally booked the gig.
Yeah.
And you show up and it's an empty room at a bar.
Been there plenty of times, yep.
And that can be very sad. A lot of these outdoor weddings rain.
Yeah.
And hauling a bunch of gear through mud and in the rain can be really terrible.
Yeah, I've got a couple of those.
I played a rehearsal dinner where a drunk uncle just shouted at me the whole time to play happier music.
Yeah, that's never fun.
The guys
the heckling
is.
I played recently. Boojum Brewing is another great spot that we love to play. I was playing out there a couple weeks ago, and there was this guy who we played one of my songs that has like a reggae feel in the middle of it. We kind of jam into it, kind of come back out of it. And this dude kept yelling, "Sublime! Play some Sublime!" And I was like, no, we don't, and I'm always trying to like be respectful, but I'm also like so intensely focused. I'm like, I have to entertain for 3 hours. And that was like super early in the first set.
Yeah.
And this dude is just, he keeps, and I was like, we don't know any. And I was just like, this guy's got to shut up. I got all this other stuff to do.
Like the very first time you hear the shout out, you're like, aha, yeah, I know who Sublime is.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you hope that they don't have the
Nope.
alcohol
The
in their system,
longevity
too.
of saying it over and over and over. Yeah.
Yeah. This guy did, to the point that like the people who had hired me like paid me extra and apologized for their family member.
That's always weird.
It was like all night, like the whole gig was me getting yelled at. Now it was
That's awful.
just
People who
playing.
yell at musicians, like that's a different level
Never
of
do
hell
that.
you're gonna have to deal with at one point. So
I was only playing Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven for
Yeah.
3 hours, so
there you
maybe
go.
that's why I wanted to have
Stop playing Beethoven. Yeah.
No. What about you? Where's
So yeah, I've got a lot. You know, it's funny when I think about it now, I can't think of any specific, and like the empty rooms things, it's never fun, but if you're playing with like a band, even in like an empty room, you're still playing in a band. So like the performance of that kind of stuff is always fun no matter what.
Or I'm just that's why I qualified, like the first one was really rough.
I'm trying to think. There were in the past I've played in in bands where band members have been different levels of inebriated, and you know, fallen down, fell out of the back of the building while we were playing. Had to set up their instruments so they could play because they were. To be fair, we were supposed to play at 8:00. It was midnight. Whatever. You know. That kind of stuff that wears on you when you're having to like rely on people that aren't quite as professional as you'd like them to be. I'm trying to think. There's been some wild gigs. I've had some crazy gigs. I can't think of one example. I used to ask this question all the time. I knew this was gonna happen.
We should, that's a good gig, but it does put people in the position of complaining about somebody. Yeah.
And I could write and one of these days, I will say, and you've probably experienced this plenty of times, like, I could write a book on playing any kind of performance where there is a stage, whether it is 2 or 3 inches versus 5 or 6 feet, versus playing on the ground level of the people that are watching you.
Oh yeah.
I could literally write an 18th century like Dickensian novel on this subject. Like it's
generations of
for sure
violation.
And there's a really good book. Have you ever read How Music Works by David Byrne?
Mm-mm.
You should read that because he talks about something similar where he talks about the evolution of music being based on where it was performed. So a lot of music that started in the church, they're in the church, and then the churches get bigger, they can get more dissonant with the stuff, and it's not so, crazy on the ears and things like that. Mm-hmm. Jazz, a lot of people are going to see jazz now in huge theaters. That's not where jazz was born. Jazz was born in essentially dives and like small little clubs, and then same thing with punk rock, but a lot of people will go to stadiums now to see punk rock. So it's like things change and all that kind of stuff. But I could definitely write a book on ground level versus any kind of stage, because people will approach you. One time in college, I was playing some Led Zeppelin song, oddly enough, because I remember this vividly. I'm playing, and this dude comes up, and I'm again singing Robert Plant and playing Jimmy Page stuff, which is pretty hard to do, folks. It's not exactly the easiest thing. So I'm sitting there focused, and I'm playing, and this dude comes up, and he just starts talking to me. I was
crazy.
I was like, you gotta get away from me, dude. Like, I can't talk to you right now. I was like, rock and roll. Like, get away from me, dude. Like, and it was approaching musicians while they're playing is super strange.
Yeah, I guess these people have never played an instrument before and don't sort of get the mental labor that's happening right in front of them.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's pretty obvious after a moment too. Like I just shoot him that look. Like, I cannot talk to you right now. This happens a lot. At like a cocktail wedding. A cocktail hour at a wedding, and there might be the family member who might not be meshing as well with all the other family members. I want to talk to somebody.
I want to talk to the cool guy with the guitar. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a wild thing. It's Yeah, that's something I think has played a factor in my decision of what's a good gig versus a bad gig. But
It could be very distracting. Even I've had a few like that don't even talk to me, but they're just very excited about me. And now there's just a random person standing here, like staring at me, like right, like just like eye contact.
the eye contact at gigs is sometimes weird from the audience, like especially smaller gigs. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could say that for sure.
All right. Well, I might steal that question. That might be number
It's a
three.
good,
We'll
it's a good
see.
question.
Yeah.
It's a solid question. I asked that a lot when I was working on the radio, and yeah, people get nervous about that question too. It's
Yeah,
good to just like rattle their cage for a second.
I mean, a big lesson or whatever is like all the gigs that seemed really terrible while I was playing them. Now I don't even remember.
Yeah.
They sort of fade into the background.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's
What's next? You got to keep your eyes on the future.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Speaking of,
yeah,
our future is jamming because we're out of time.
We're gonna jam.
Do you have any upcoming shows, or you mentioned your record labels? Where do people find you?
Yeah, so Spotify, all my music's on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Tidal, wherever you listen to music, you can find it. You can pretty much go to andrewthelston.com, and I've got a tab for the record label, the studio, my music, other people's music, Facebook, Instagram. I've got a cool YouTube page that I put all my music videos up on there. I'm constantly I'm on TikTok. I do the
Okay.
TikTok thing,
Wow, you're hip, man.
Just
I didn't
get
know.
just little guitar videos, nothing too crazy.
Is that what the kids are calling it?
Yeah,
now?
I'm
Hip?
not trying to attack the capital or anything using social media, but
That's
just all over the place. Like if you type Andrew Thelston into the thing, you'll find anything and everything about me musically, and
because you're doing it right.
I'm trying,
content
man.
is out there.
Content like this right here. This is life,
This
man.
is content.
This is content
Is this
happening.
life or content?
Yeah,
I'm not sure
exactly.
anymore.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good lyric. I like that. Yeah, so.
Why the angst of being an artist?
But yeah, Clever Dog Records. Oh, and while I'm thinking about this too, so if you ever look at the logo for Clever Dog Records, it's two dogs. My wife and I had these dogs. We recently lost one. He passed away. Really unexpected. Felt terrible. Still got a lot of feelings about it, But what I've decided to do, I went ahead and got some t-shirts printed up with the logo for Clever Dog Records. And I'm selling those at shows, and you can hit me up on any social media platform if you're interested in it. And a percentage is going to go to a local area rescue nonprofit for animals. So
That's great.
yeah,
Nice.
and it's
That's
nice, and a lot of people are kind of buying those, and I'll keep getting more shirts as people keep buying them, and it's just keeping his memory. He's on the shirt, it's keeping his memory alive and everything. So I'm just trying to do some good for our little animal friends that always hang out and listen to us practice nonstop. And,
Smile at you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a touching dedication. That's really cool.
Thanks, man.
Nice. Well, we can dedicate this episode
There
to
we
your
go.
past dog as
Yeah,
well.
to Eli. Yeah.
Eli,
Yeah, man.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Yeah.
Well, let's jam. We're gonna take a little break. We're gonna end the live stream on the Instagram, and then we'll be right back with some sweet jams.
Sweet. Let's do it.
All right. Thank you. Thanks again for joining me.
Absolutely. I think I've got the stream coming back. Latency in my headphones.
Oh.
Something noisy in your pedal board, but I think it's coming through okay on the. Again, we're also surrounded by so many things, so much electricity. Urban Music Studio. Music studio. Let's do it. Let's do the play. Let's do it. Let's do it. Like me. Oh yeah. Yeah, let's do it. Car. Here we go. Yeah. We use the same picks. Like Don left threes. I used ones. I used threes. I don't know. These are gifts. Yeah. Use the fingers. There you go. Maybe it's a wall. Push it all the way down. You got it on. It's on down. Oh
Wow.
We got time. It was a lot of fun. This is great. Let's see if anything stopped working.
Checking this mic. Okay, well, thank you, Andrew Thelston, for being with me,
Yeah, man.
for rocking my face off, and
It was fun.
thank you, everybody, for watching. See you next week when I'll have somebody else on.
Somebody else.